Hey everyone, coming to you from Steve's studio. It's GM Jared and Rules Arbiter Steve.
Yep.
Live in person, because we're cool like that. But what we are talking about today, brand news coming out of GenCon. This is kind of like, it's going to be like 2 days late by now. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff coming out of GenCon.
We work for a living.
Yeah. Sadly, we weren't able to go to GenCon this year. I had a new human come into my existence. And yeah, human 2.0 upgrade. And we were unable to get down there. But anyway, so coming out of Paizo, a few things were announced, but the big announcement was Starfinder 2nd Edition, which is going to be running off of the remastered rules of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. They're very closely linked. Now, in the playtest that we're going to be talking about, they do speak about a few things that aren't exactly one for one, but that's few and far between, right? So the Starfinder playtest is in a playtest currently. The full playtest is going to be released is in 2024, expected summer 2024. Obviously, things can change. What they are releasing is they call them Field Test, which are kind of snippets of classes that they will be using for the playtest. Currently, what we know, there is the Mystic, the Soldier, the Envoy, and the Solarian. They've also put up the iconics for them on Paizo's website. You could go see the iconic. They added 2 new iconics. The Mystic is now a new iconic, and the Solarian is now Chester Cheeto, the kitty cat. I'm sorry, I can't draw. I'm a terrible artist, but it looks like a cross between Felix the Cat, Chester's Cheeto, but like with space magic. It's pretty cool. I like it. I thought the cat person was cool, but it's a new iconic. And yeah, so what they released for GenCon was the Field Test number 1, which is levels 1 to level 5 for the Soldier class, as well as also in this they do speak on how capacity works for firearms, and they do showcase 2 new monsters, the Glitch Goblin and the LAZER WOLF. It has an actual name, but LAZER WOLF is way cooler.
This is such an 80s name.
I love it. I'm with it. All right. So first and foremost,
we're gonna take a look at the PDF, right?
Yes, we're gonna hop over it now. We're gonna look over at the PDF. It should be popped up on the screen if everything worked out famously, and we're gonna talk about the Soldier class, right? So the Soldier class, if you have no idea what it is, it's your basic, like the fighter class. Like there's no way to put this.
It's actually different than the fighter, and they really try to hunker down the fact that this is not just space fighter.
Yeah, and
as you see right on the screen, I believe this is the iconic.
This is the iconic.
Yeah, this is the iconic.
Obo. It's a Vesk, which is a lizard person.
Or Obo Zaya,
but they say Obo like when they talk about them. They just OBO. This is their iconic. Now, from what I understand, they aren't shying away from melee, but they are putting in a lot of heavy armored, heavy use items for the Soldier.
They even made reference that this is like, imagine if a fighter and a paladin had a baby.
Yes, exactly.
It's very much like, and then the fact that it's not just, you can take a serious amount of punishment. You can also dish out a serious amount of punishment, but also it's relevant to having either a big two-handed weapons,
yes,
or big area of effect like guns,
yeah,
like grenade launchers and stuff. So yeah.
One of the things talking about the area of effect is there is now a new condition for the Soldier called Supressed, and it's a 2-action attack, and you have to have a gun that has an area fire or auto fire actions. And basically what Suppressed does is, if you want to imagine your character is laying down heavy fire for the rest of your team to do something else. So you turn the corner and you just unload. So think Aliens, not Alien, but Aliens, the second movie, when the Marines they see the aliens are coming towards them and they just like unload as much damage as possible. That's kind of what happens with suppressing fire. Basically every enemy in that sphere or in that area has to make a check. If they failed, they are suppressed, which is a new condition. And basically what happens to them is they take a -1 to their attack rolls and a -5 to their movement speed. And
The cool thing is, Jared mentioned there's like a 2-action move that you get through one of your feats that you can apply suppressed. The soldier has a multitude of ways of applying suppressed. It's not just that one way. There is actually you can basically get a fighting style which may let you apply suppressed in certain situations. You also get an ability anytime you're using an area of effect weapon. You can pick someone as your primary target, and they have to make a save to see if they're suppressed. So it's not always 2 actions. So you're gonna have a variety of ways to add this new condition to other people, and a lot of your abilities work off of suppressed enemies, where you may take less damage from them, or a multitude of other things. You can kind of manipulate the fact that the person you just hit was suppressed, and you get some benefits out of it.
So for a soldier, if you're just looking over it, if you've played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you will see a lot of stuff in soldier, such as they are a con-based class. They're not a strength or a dex or a wisdom. They are a con-based class. So a lot of their DCs are based off of their con score, which I think is amazing. Also, I think it's amazing that they went with that for a kind of like a martial character,
and especially an upfront character. But the idea of the soldier is you're supposed to absorb an immense amount of punishment as the upfront body. That you're the first person kicking in the door. Also you can also even say that this is even a mix of a little bit of barbarian. The whole point is you're supposed to soak them out a lot of damage, but also be a threat on the field as well.
Yeah, which I think so far, obviously, we haven't gotten to play with it because we're waiting for the rest of the.
Unless we're gonna have a team of 5 soldiers busted in the room,
just soldiers, just fighting a bunch of laser wolves. That's the fight there.
Can't get any more 80s than that.
Yeah, they also haven't released the ancestries or the species or whatever they are. I think they're gonna probably stick to the term ancestry.
Yeah, because they even made reference to if we're gonna skip over to this part, a lot of you who play 2nd edition, I'm gonna zoom into this one spot here. A lot of you who play 2nd edition Pathfinder, you're gonna notice a lot of these things would be the same. You have ancestry and background, initial proficiencies, attribute boosts. All of this stuff works very similar to how the remaster is going to work. So this is if you played Pathfinder 2nd edition, this is going to look very familiar to you. And also, if you play this, you're going to know a lot about how Pathfinder 2nd edition remaster works.
Yeah. Also, they have the field notes from your favorite little captain over there. I love those little field notes. It's just fun. So that is the base of the soldier class. Going into it, you have your punitive strike, which is just your in current edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, it's attack of opportunity, but because Pathfinder 2nd edition is now working with the ORC license and not the OGL, it's now called punitive strike.
In Pathfinder, this was renamed to reactive strike.
Yeah.
And to the point, the soldiers don't automatically get this. So back when I was referencing the soldier combat styles or the fighting styles, 1 out of the 3 combat styles gets access to this. So not every single soldier is going to get this quote unquote attack of opportunity or reactive strike or the punitive strike. It's really the close quarters combat. The guy who's going to be in the mix next to people is going to be able to trigger effectively a free attack on things that are suppressed. So going back to the thing is, you want to put suppressed on a lot of different things, which is going to be able to trigger your revised attack of opportunity. We're going to keep using the word. You know what we mean. We know what we mean.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get to use the new terms when we get used to them.
Yeah. So going through it some more, you have your fighting styles. You have your walking armory. Can use con to determine if you can wear armor with no penalty, and if your strength already meets it, gain reduced bulk for the armor. So basically, in Pathfinder 2nd edition, remember a lot of this stuff is going to be based off of Pathfinder 2nd edition. In Pathfinder 2nd edition, when you have armor, you'll have something that says like you need a strength of 16 or a strength of 12. If you have a strength of that number, if you have that strength score, then you don't get the penalties for wearing that armor. But if you don't have it, you get the penalties. So it's usually a reduction of movement, speed, and other certain effects. Now with the walking armory, they basically say, hey, you can use your con instead of your strength. But if you also have the strength score to match, you get more for your armor. Following up from there, we have fearsome bulwark, which allows.
I like this.
Yeah. So what does that do?
So a fearsome bulwark effectively means you can use your Constitution modifier instead of your Charisma when you make intimidation checks. You know, the idea is that they were supposed to be this big, intimidating presence. So you may not be making all those diplomacy checks, but the fact that you should be intimidatingly based on your stature. Like, you don't have to dump your charisma. You know, I don't think get charisma just because you want to be intimidating. Your size alone gets the job done. I noticed that there may have been a typo or a possible change of how things work in this compared. Now, if we're talking about like this, they're saying that this, for the most part, is matching up with the remaster for second edition. And when it doesn't, we'll get to that a little later, but there's a term that they use here that the Pathfinder second edition uses that operate a little differently. But they make a mention that it operates differently. So in this case, they don't mention it operates differently. When someone's making an attack, you roll your full attack. Whatever your plus is, you get your plus. When you make a second attack in the same turn, you get a -5. And you make a third attack, you get a -10. This is a multiple attack penalty. We've been operating in Pathfinder like this for
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. It's basically since the game came out. Some classes get ability to reduce this number. I'll kind of reference, and I'll probably throw it up on the screen somewhere. The Ranger gets this benefit when they get the Flurry Ranger thing at first level. So instead of being -5 and -10, they get a reduction to that penalty. So they're better off at making a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
If you look at overwhelming assault, when I'm attacking with an agile weapon, my -10 is a -8.
Yeah.
Right, and my -5 is a -4, so I get a -1. So, right, so I get a reduction in that penalty because I'm better at, you know, the weapon's lighter and whatnot. But overwhelming assault, the math doesn't check out that way.
Your multiple attack penalty.
Because look, if you look at, like, it says here that if I have overwhelming assault, if I have this special feat that lets me reduce my multiple attack penalty, if I have an agile weapon and this feat, I operate at -8. But if I had an agile weapon, I would normally be at -8. So I don't know if this is a typo or or they're changing the way multiple attack penalty works.
Yeah, so it does look like that might be a typo. Additionally, it does look like it's written a bit weird.
Yeah.
Your multiple attack penalty for attacks against suppressed targets is a -4 on your second attack instead of a -5, and a -9 or -8 with an agile weapon on your third or subsequent attacks of the turn instead of the -10, because the way Pathfinder works is it's a flat 10, even if you have haste. So if you get multiple attacks, after the third attack, you will always have a -10, or if you're attacking with an agile weapon, normally it's a -8.
Yeah. So even normally, if I was attacking and I made my third attack on the turn, if I had an agile weapon in my hand and whether I'm shooting you or if it just has agile, it doesn't matter. I would normally have a -8 because that weapon is lighter than a normal weapon. So I would already get a -8 versus a 10. But this feat's telling me I'm getting a -8 if I'm using an agile weapon with this feat.
I think what was going on here is they were trying to use that flurry attack concept from the Ranger.
Yes.
And incorporate it. But I think something got mixed up with the hiccup.
Yeah.
Additionally, this is still a beta. We suggest bringing this up on the forums.
Yeah.
If you can. Bring it up on the forums and then say, hey, we saw this. Can someone please explain this? Because this is the point of a beta, is to find the bugs and to get it weeded out.
And it's more of a fact that, is this correct? And if this is correct, that means they may be, for Pathfinder Remaster, they may be changing how multiple attack penalty works.
Oh, interesting.
That's the thing. When I read that, I'm like, is this wrong and they need to correct it? Or is multiple attack penalty rule changing wholesale as part of the remaster? So just something to look into. It's just something I noticed. Because I'm a numbers guy. Sorry.
He's Rules Arbiter. I'm the fun, cool GM. Like the fun, cool
He was like, you
uncle.
ignore the rule.
Yeah, just don't care. So continuing on this playtest in the Captain Concierge, which is the Skidamaster with the little captain's hat on that pops up every so often
over here
on the sidebar. They talk about, like, they kind of go over what the soldier class is, but also they make reference, and also in their blog post they talk about the Mystic class, which is, I'm assuming, the way they kind of worded it, will be the next field test to come out after the soldier. The Mystic will be the default kind of healer class. The way I see a lot of these Starfinder classes, and they did say 6 of them were coming out, they kind of they're fusing 2 Pathfinder 2nd Edition classes into the Starfinder class. So like one could say the soldier is a fusion of fighter the paladin being this like
heavy
armored fighter,
Yeah.
like martial character, with access to all the armor, AC, and stuff like that. The mystic, I'm assuming, the way I think it kind of they said was like an oracle and like the oracle and the druid or something like that, like a combination.
Yeah, like I said, I've only read the field test one, and it just makes reference that they are the healer of
Yeah.
the group, and they did make reference of that fact that the soldier is the tank of the group, so they are using those terms that we like, tank, healer, damage, so that, like I said, the only thing that they may reference in here is that even though that the soldier can take a lot of abuse, that they're going to be backed up most likely by a mystic healing them up. So I guess we'll see what new other classes and what kind of mixes and matches that they're going to come out with.
Continuing forward in this PDF, we're going to talk about weapons.
Oh yeah, we're going to skip past the feats. If you want to look at the feats, you download. We'll leave a link below.
It's not a lot.
Like 11 pages.
It's not a lot. So there's not much to constantly talk about here. So we talk about weapons, updated rules, and how this works for Starfinder 2nd Edition. Remember, a lot of stuff is kind of coming over from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So one of the things they do talk about is damage. The entry for every weapon listed is either bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, but also now they have some also deal specific types of damage because you are playing in space with space guns. So you have A for acid, C for cold, E for electric, F for fire, M for mental, PO for poison, and SO for sonic.
Well, that you had to do that.
Yeah. And then they talk about how characters with multiple hands use, because there is a ancestry in Starfinder that if you play, they have 4 arms.
Yeah.
So they talk about how the multi-armed character works, because again, there are also the Skidomancers, which I believe have multiple arms. So there's a lot of creatures in the universe with multiple arms, and they talk about how that works. Basically, when you have multiple arms, you have to designate your active set of arms, and you get
an action to swap.
Yeah.
So technically, you can have a 2-handed weapon in 2 of your arms and another 2-handed weapon in your other arm. So basically, it's a loaded gun in one of your sets of arms, and then maybe a sword or something in your other hand, or maybe it's 2 different guns.
Yeah.
Right. But to actively switch without special training, you need to spend an action. So we may see some ancestry feats for those ancestries that maybe make it cheaper, maybe make it a reaction that you can swap or whatever.
Yeah. Then they talk about capacity. This was the one time they specifically mentioned a specific book from Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which was the Guns and Gears book, which came out many moons ago. And in that book, they also bring up capacity. Now, capacity for this Starfinder has 2 different terms. I actually had to ask Steve, and Steve knew everything I needed. So, Steve, please explain to the audience what they're talking about.
So the quick and dirty is for Pathfinder, what capacity means is I might have like a crossbow that has like 6 barrels. So when I shoot somebody, I got to like spend an action I got to move that barrel over manually to move over to the next barrel, but all 6 barrels are effectively loaded. Capacity for guns is more what we consider capacity, is a magazine or some sort of battery or whatever that is loaded into the gun has a maximum number of things in it, whether it's energy for batteries or it's bullets or shotgun round, whatever it is. That's just, fuel for the flamethrowers, which is
awesome.
So, finally, flamethrowers my game. So that's the maximum capacity of every time you load that magazine. It doesn't tell you, so there's no extra actions. The only action is when you're empty, you have to spend the actions that you would normally do to remove that magazine, get a magazine from your person, and reload your weapon, whatever that weapon may be.
We've all seen the action movies where they, John Wick flipped the clip out, plug in
that's a feat.
Yeah, that's a dope ass feat.
It's definitely a feat.
And then they bring up other things such as area fire. How does that work? It's a 2-action effect. Automatic fire. How does that work? It's a 2-action effect. And then
they also bring up archaic weapons. So,
Yes.
i.e., bringing items back from, say, you had a magic sword from effectively the Pathfinder universe. This is all the same universe. Your Pathfinder game, you're bringing that +2 magic sword that your character had. How does that work? How does weapon runes work with firearms? Do they work? All that is laid out here. Just note that armor in space in Starfinder is a bit better at absorbing damage from archaic weapons.
Yeah.
So if someone hits you with a Pathfinder sword and you're in Starfinder armor, you're going to do a little bit better than that Pathfinder character. So,
which I'm kind of hoping that they either have a Starfinder game where you go back in time, or they have a Pathfinder AP where you go forward in time
and bring back some sweet
yeah.
tech. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Flamethrower barbarian.
It just gives you critical specializations for the 2 new guns that they talk about, which is laser and projectile, and what that means. They do give you a few new, and also talks about credits and credit chips and how does all that work. But go ahead. You want to talk about credit chips?
So yeah, I'm upset. So let me explain to why everyone I'm upset. So Pathfinder 2nd Edition doesn't run on a gold system, and here they say it runs on a gold system. Pathfinder 2nd Edition runs on a silver system. Okay, everything was base silver.
It runs on a silver system until you get to like level 3.
Yeah, until you hit level 3. But I was informed in my book that it runs on the silver system, and now they're telling me Pathfinder 2nd Edition runs on a gold system, which it does. But they wanted to be fancy, and they were like, "Hey, we're a silver system." And now the way it works is basically for every 1 credit. 10 credits equals 1 gold piece.
So effectively, Starfinder works in silver and Pathfinder works in gold.
That's what happened. Starfinder runs in silver, Pathfinder runs in gold.
So if you want to learn about credit chips and how currency works, you can read that.
Yeah.
There's nothing new there. There's like actually a couple of interesting things about like how you can encrypt your credit chips and stuff like that, but that's really just more fluff and not necessarily something that will really happen in game. Like it's idea. It's like if you leave your credit chip like unprotected,
someone's gonna take it.
So someone can hack into it and steal your money. But
it's Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin.
Dogecoin. And now we're looking at the ranged weapons. Again, you have your laser pistol, which is actually kind of funny. I'll explain why. So in the original
sword,
you have so laser pistol is funny because in the original Starfinder it had 5 charges under the capacity, but there is no capacity, like there is no battery that has 5 charges. And they did that in Starfinder 1. And people were very confused about it. There is an answer. It's out there. But basically, it's your price. As you see in Laser Pistol, it's 1d6F, meaning fire. Its range is 40. Reload is 1. Bulk is 1. Hands is 1. It's a pistol, yeah. The usage, again, remember, we talked about usage.
We actually skipped over usage, but yeah. So the idea that all usage is how many charges, bullets, projectiles, how many is used when you pull the trigger, when you make an attack, how many of that magazine is used up. So in this case, you can shoot 5 times and then you have to you dump your old battery and then put in a new battery, just like Mass Effect, where they eject the old heated mag and they put in a new mag. That's all it is here. And you're going to notice that there's 3 versions of the pistol, and there are going to be 3 versions of every single gun. There's going to be 4 different guns here, and it's just as you level up, you can get. This is similar to how Pathfinder does it, where you get better runes as you level up, and you just got to put those on your weapon. In this case, you get a commercial level pistol, a tactical, and an advanced. They just get better as they get higher level.
They get tracking +1, which your assumption
and then some of the damage goes up too.
And damage goes up a little bit.
Sometimes the usage
and
goes
charges
up too.
And usage.
And also upgrades. We skipped over upgrades too, but upgrades is just like things you can do to your gun to make it better.
Yeah.
And depending on the gun you have, upgrades tells you how many upgrades you can have.
And then you see at the bottom, they have really cool pictures of a rotor laser and a laser pistol.
I definitely got Doom vibes when I saw the rotor laser, and I thought of the chain gun from Doom.
Yeah,
100%.
Continuing forward, we finally get into the cool creatures. We have the computer glitch goblin, and then we have laser wolf. And then you.
By the way, I read the actual how the laser wolf operates and the rules and stuff like that. It's so dope.
It is a really cool creature.
God, I want to run this monster so bad.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The glitch goblin has a couple of cool things in and of itself as well.
Yeah, they talk about the glitch goblin can sense technology. Or like it has
to life sense, but sense technology,
which I thought was cool. And the glitch goblin also has a new feature which is called a new condition glitching, and you have to make a check if you're using any kind of tech. So
or
if
you may be a tech person, like you may be a robot or some sort of description. Android, yeah. So being near this thing messes you up.
Yeah, it glitches you out, and then you have to make a check, and then if you fail and succeed, XYZ, you're affected. And then on top of that, you have at the very bottom they have spells, and then some of them they say like if it like delete is a spell not from Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
It's going to be from Starfinder, but it's not a spell yet.
Yeah, so we don't know what it does. And then they have like Thunderstrike, which is from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It says, hey, go check out Pathfinder 2nd Edition to know what that does.
Well, they actually specifically reference the player core one, which isn't out yet, but it will be out
when this is all out. Yeah. And same thing with Lazer Wolf. They give you Lazer Wolf 1 and then awesome Lazer Wolf
Alpha.
Yeah, Lazer Wolf Alpha, which is the most 80th name you can have for a monster ever. Basically, Lazer Wolf does Lazer Wolf stuff, which if you have to ask what's that, you're not cool enough.
I love the fact that they make reference to that the fur isn't fur, it's like filament. It's like monofilament.
Yeah.
And it glows. Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm super excited for Starfinder. I think I'm tired of playing in like mystical magic, and now I want Lazer Wolf. I mean, I could add these into like a 2nd edition campaign.
You definitely can.
And I think that's something that's really cool is you could take these monsters right now and
pump them into your Pathfinder campaign.
Obviously, the Glitch Goblin would not work well because it says tech. And
no, they just delete people.
Oh, yeah, they do have delete, which is a cantrip, by the way. They do bloop, you're out. But like, and then the Lazer Wolf here has a lot of stuff that is easier to kind of add into Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which I think is really cool.
That's the whole that's the whole like field test one. Obviously, this is not that many pages. Like I said, it's like 14, like 13 pages, but then you got the front and back pages. Not really, it's like 11 pages.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing more out of Starfinder because although I read the original 1st edition Starfinder book, we never really got a great opportunity to play. No. And then once we started playing 2nd edition, it was the almost sure of if a new person came into the group or new people like, oh, I've never played 1st edition or 2nd edition, we're teaching you 2nd edition Pathfinder. And now we're asking you to learn a whole new system, which it's based on the 3rd edition D&D system. Sometimes that can get real convoluted real fast and kind of very complicated too at times. So it's nice to be like, look, you learned this system. This system is almost exactly like it.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing I got from this is a real fine tuning from like I feel like they took a lot of lessons from Pathfinder 2nd edition and then they brought in more to this, and they're giving the class from like a GM who really loves more of like rule of cool and storytelling. The concept of suppression was something I thought was really cool because I did get to play Starfinder, and one of the things I always wanted to do was turn down a hallway and just lay cover fire, which you could kind of do, but it was never as, because there was like a whole laundry list of things you had to do beforehand. But it was never as cool. With this, it's you got 2 actions. Do you got the gun that works on that? Knock self out. And then that becomes a very interesting concept of play where you can give your player that opportunity to kind of be the hero in that moment where they're just covering the hallway from like the 12 Lazer Wolves running at you.
From the outside looking in, obviously we weren't involved in any sort of design. There was no conversation there. That just sounds like they're having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's really what you want. You want that your developers are making the game, not only to make the game because they're making a product, but to have fun doing it, which means they're going to make dope stuff. And then that's going to be dope to run and it's going to be dope to play. Yeah. So yeah, it just seems that they're enjoying the process.
So all in all, let us know in the comments down below what you think of this. Also, if you figured out that feat that we were talking about, if you kind of understood it a little better than the way we understood it, let us know in the comments down below. Do the like and subscribe thing, and yeah, stay tuned because we're going to be doing dives into these like little PDFs. We're waiting for the Mystic to come out, which I'm assuming will probably be in like a month. They always kind of like, maybe, I don't know. They haven't said anything.
They may ramp up stuff or not. I don't know. With the remaster coming out, I have a funny feeling that I will assume that things may slow down because in September and October, like the end of the year, they're having a lot of releases. So I'm assuming that they're quite busy with that.
Yeah.
And this is like just probably their Starfinder team kind of getting in. And
Yeah.
like, hey, we're doing the thing.
Yeah.
So we may see a slowdown. We may not see a slowdown. They haven't really referenced anything as far as I've seen.
No.
But, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't release anything new until next year because of all the releases they're having at the end of the year for Pathfinder.
Yeah.
But that's just me speculating.
Steve's a stick in the mud. But with that said, from all of us here at Nothing Ventured, Nothing Aimed, I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us. And we love rolling dice, giving advice with a little bit of that New York spice. Say goodbye, Steve.
Later.
Bye.